I'll be honest with you guys, I actually did not like this car when it first came out, and I still don't like the color, but I actually like it a lot more after getting inside and testing it out. So I'm gonna be real with you guys. Driving this car around, it gets a lot of attention, and people are shocked that this is a new Nissan. I haven't been seeing much on the road, and that's probably a big part of it, even here in like Southern California. But the body lines do look a lot better in person. And since it's launched, they've actually done things that I feel like make it look better. And starting with the front, we have this grille here, and they broke it up. It used to be just one big black square, which I didn't like. That was one of the biggest reasons I didn't like it, because it just felt like a lazy design. But they broke it up with this this like gunmetal gray, grill up top, and then a conventional black grill down below, and that helps. But then also, if you ignore the color, which, like I said, I'm not a big fan of, the body lines on this car look really good. I just think that the launch color didn't do it any service or any justice. So going up top with the new Nissan logo, it's nice. It's the revised logo. You get the kind of reminiscent of the older Generation Z models, that hood lines, which is nice. New headlights here, which are reminiscent. It's like they pull a lot of Easter eggs. And initially, I thought that was like lazy design. Like, okay, we just pull from this design, because those designs are iconic and they look really good, and they were unique and they had their own personality. Oh. And if you come around the side here, these have the forged wheels that measure 255/40, and they're 19 inches large, and then you get the performance brake calipers. So coming around the side here, you do get that nice iconic silhouette. This is that two-tone paint job, so you get the blacked out roof, and you can get those in different color variants, and I think that's a nice touch, because you get the blacked out mirror cap, blacked up top here, and this nice little signature line that goes here. So going to door handles, you have to press each individual one if you're not going to unlock it yourself to unlock each of the doors with a keyless entry button. So just keep that in mind. You do get the Z badging up here, a really large fuel door, which I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it's locked right now, but it is a really big fuel door. I don't know why they did that, but I mean, it's whatever. It's not a big deal. Rear brakes are also those red brake calipers, which is a nice touch, and they got a nice little Nissan logo on it. So they did pay attention to that. A lot of other companies kind of just don't put that level of detail. So I do respect that. Coming around the back here, which I think is probably the better looking part of the vehicle, is the rear. Pulling that design style from that 300, I think did it, and it gives a really cool retro vibe with these lights. Like, honestly, it looks sick. It looks even cooler at night. Very retro. So I think the rear is probably my favorite part of the car. There is a decklit spoiler on this because it's that higher trim. So, and then yeah, you get that black kind of two-tone that ends over here. So you get a BZ badge, your reverse camera, which is terrible, and we'll look at it inside. It is not it. It's not good at all. And then to open the trunk, you push underneath here, and then you lift it up. I've been pulling on this Nissan badge more often than I'd like to admit. So I kind of wish it was part of it, but that's just not how they designed it. It naturally just seems like a nice grab handle. So keep that in mind. Real quick with the trunk, you get a good amount of space back here. First aid kit, cargo net. But like, there are Velcro strips on here. It doesn't even Velcro onto the mat. They designed this Velcro to work with this carpeting. Let me show you guys real quick. So I pull this carpeting back here. I chuck this on here. The Velcro's on. Which is kind of like, what's the point of buying that if you can't Velcro it onto here after you get that nice little cargo liner? I don't know. Kind of misses the mark for me. Just, I feel like this wasn't thought out well. Nice Z badging here. You do get little loops to tie down stuff, and then that cross brace, which is a nice little design feature, as well as also a practical structural integrity component for the chassis. So cool. I like it. Decent amount of space. Nothing really to write home about. But let's close this up. Let's go down here with the exhaust. Exhaust looks good. It sounds decent. I'll put an exhaust clip here. It doesn't sound honestly that great, just free revving it. And there's a rev limit around like 5,000 RPM. So with that, let's show you guys the inside here. Door handles, kind of like the 350Z. Hopefully they don't like fail like the 350Z ones do. That was a known issue with them. But the door card is straight off the 370 with some very minor tweaks. And this is where you start to feel like, okay, they kind of carried it over from that previous chassis, which I get. Without that, we wouldn't have this car. But door handles are the same, vents are the same, switch gear is near identical, and then the door card is pretty much the same with the Bose speaker system in here. Going on the seats, these seats, I'll be honest, I've driven 300 or so miles on it in the last like 4 days. Not the most comfortable. I just feel like I couldn't get a good seating position with these. These didn't really help too much, and then this has power controls right over here, which I just couldn't figure out. I felt like my legs were too high off of this, so I wasn't really getting good, like, you know, thigh, like underneath my thigh support when I was like at a comfortable position with the pedal box. And speaking of pedal box, you get nice aluminum pedals here. I think they look great and they work well. We'll talk about the clutch more when we actually get on a drive, because it does have a very aggressive spring, which pushes back once you get to the bite point. You do get a button here for your interior lighting. You can turn that on or off, or apparently change the colors. I didn't notice it too much. Traction control off button, easy and accessible. And let's hop inside. Oh, actually real quick, you do get this nice door sill, which is a really nice touch actually. I like that. That looks really premium. So have to respect that. Let's hop in here. Turn this on real quick. Nissan logo there. Nice little animation. That's nice. And then you get the different screens, which I can show you guys real quick. You press this button here. You have three different menus. You have your normal, which we're in right now, sport, which is, I think, the best one. It looks the best. They have this other one, which is enhanced, which it looks cool. It's like a 3D isometric view of what a gauge cluster would look like, but it's not my vibe. I'd probably keep it in normal or in sport, which is what we're gonna have it on for the rest of this this video. You can go through the menus here. You can change upshift indicator, tire pressure, boost. So you have like technically 2 boost gauges, and then G-force, and yeah. So that's the digital gauge cluster. Adds a nice modern touch for 2023, and the steering wheel is nice with some modern, you know, illuminated buttons over there. So horn sounds solid. Going to the gauge pods, iconic Z signature, PSI, which is useful for your boost gauge, RPM of the turbo, which isn't super necessary. It's related to boost, and then you have voltage, which is probably the least useful of the three. I wish they would have had like an oil. I would have oil pressure here, or oil temp. If I could, if they could make these digital gauges in the future, that'd be super sick to have, where you can customize what those gauges are for. I think that would have been probably the most modern touch they would have given this car, was digital gauges that you can customize here. So Nissan, if you need any ideas, call me. Vents, standard straightforward stuff, kind of like the vents that were in the front grille, similar design style. And then your large touchscreen, which it's nice. It's not super bright sometimes, and it just depends on obviously when you're operating it. The camera, if I go into reverse here, you push it down to the right. Very bad quality. I don't like it. At night it's even worse. They really should have updated that, and that was like kind of a miss in my opinion. But it's a good system. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, it does the job. I'm not gonna really complain about it too much. You have satellite radio if you care about that stuff. Same AC vents as a 370Z. Nothing's really changed there, guys. USB-C and USB-A ports right there, and then a cubby. No wireless charger, but again, I wouldn't want a wireless charger over there because it would probably just get really hot and toast up your phone. And a start-stop button. 6-speed manual transmission. I'll talk about it a little bit here, but we'll talk about more in the drive. They increased the weight of the shift knob, so it feels different. And I kind of like it, I kind of don't, but we'll get into that more. Your S mode, which is to turn on or off rev matching. You do have to hold it for a little bit. You don't just press it and it turns on or off. You actually have to press it for a little bit for it to engage. So keep that in mind when you are operating that. You know, 2-stage heated seats, a switch for your trunk right here if you want to open that up. Cup holder that does have a little lighting in there, which is nice at night. And then this thing slides back to build another cup holder, and then you have storage, which you press this button right here, down here. So pretty straightforward stuff. And you also get a 12-volt down here when you want to hook up a radar detector, or you want to conveniently wire a dash cam. But we know which one most people are going to be doing. Up top, door cards, pretty standard, nothing crazy. Lights, you know, pretty standard, nothing crazy. SOS, I guess it's the microphone array. I'm not sure if it's, I doubt it's a speaker array. And then if I push this seat forward, we'll do both. You do get shelving behind both seats, and you also get this little cubby here, which is large enough to fit the owner's manual. I took it out because I was moving it around for the TikTok I was making, but opens up and closes with shelving down here. The owner's manual is not large enough to fit in the glove box, so keep that in mind. It is pretty small. But it's nice that they give you nice storage down here that is relatively easy accessible. And the power seats, it's a little harder when you have it in position. So that's just gonna take some time. If you get the manual seats, you don't have that issue. But those are probably harder to operate. You have to probably reach out over there to get it. So again, not terrible. You can access that. And you also have access to the rear trunk, which is nice. Let's look under the hood of this car. All right, guys, so the big reason people get this car is because of the powertrain and drivetrain setup. Turbocharged, twin turbocharged V6, makes 400 horsepower, 350 pound-feet of torque. Isn't identical to the GTR engine, it's not the same, different displacement. Shares similar DNA is kind of the best way I'd put it. Sends that power to the rear wheels via the 6-speed manual transmission. You can get an automatic, and that has a limited slip differential. And we'll talk about how it performs when we get to drive it, but this is an engine that is on other Infiniti models. It has aftermarket support, and it's got 2 turbos. So you can imagine the tuning potential and opportunities behind this powertrain. But I'm not gonna bore you to death with that. You know what it is. Let's get into driving it. All right, let's get into driving this thing because I have thoughts on that I would like to share with you guys if you're interested in actually buying one or just wanted to use when you want to talk about this car. I don't know. So, starting with the clutch. Yeah, it does push back a lot when you get to the close to the bite point. Kind of reminds you of what they've done with the with the Ford like Focus ST, Fiesta ST. They had that attribute. This one has it a lot. I kind of like it. I think it makes it easy when you're learning how to drive manual. So, yeah, the bite point is towards the higher end of the clutch travel. So, but again, not a hard transmission to learn at all. And not a hard clutch to learn at all. It does have some form of hill start, I believe, but it wasn't too obvious. I was just able to confidently get up and start going when I was on a hill. Be slow here, don't want to scrape. But yeah, let's talk about this shifter real quick. The throws are decent. It's not an amazing feeling shifter. That weight to the knob, I like. It feels weird when you're kind of just like, checking out a neutral or just chilling between the gears or just like chilling between the gears and stuff. I have rev matching on, if you guys couldn't tell. But overall, an easy car to drive. If you guys didn't notice when you were looking at the gauge cluster, I was getting 24.4 miles per gallon. I hit 25 average when I was on the freeway. Not bad, honestly. Very impressed with the efficiency of this car when you're just light on it. When you get on it, yeah, again, I felt like I let off the gas, but the clutch bite point, I guess, is so high up that I'm on the gas when I'm letting off the clutch. Just something I need to adjust in my personal driving. Not a complaint with the car. That's something you get used to. This is a car that if you do want to drive it hard, you got to drive it. It does feel very old school in that sense. But I like that aspect of it. It's a car that you need to drive, and it doesn't feel too computer aided or whatever. It doesn't feel too computer aided. But yeah, I think it's nice that we have a old school chassis with a more modern interior, and then you get the same aftermarket support from a suspension standpoint, and you still get some nice aftermarket support with the engine. So I think that's nice. It's a better Z. It's a better Z than the previous generation. For that reason, could it have been a lot better? Yes. Does it compete with the Supra? No. It is not as, I feel like, nice as the Supra. The Supra handles, I think, better. The transmission, the engine is, in my opinion, better. I also think it's objectively better. But that is my opinion. I don't have like a bunch of data to back that up. But it is faster, I'm sure, in 0 to 60. I feel like people have tested. I think I've seen that before. And that is a newer platform by BMW with a Toyota badge. People can hate on that. But I like that we have that in 2023. I'm not mad at that. For the money, though, this is a really good option. Let's get on here. Whew. it's fun. Going way too fast. But yeah, you get the shift lights up top. I'm not going super hard on it. One thing I want to note is the lane keep or whatever warning. It beeps at you. It's pretty sensitive. You can disable it, but it's just been a little bit annoying to me. If you get on it hard, the wheels do slip. I'm sorry the camera's tilting on you guys. Shows how much power I'm putting down, you know, to the ground. Other comments, visibility, not much better than the previous generation Z. You don't expect that, who cares? It's got blind spot monitoring, which is nice. And yeah, like that reverse camera if you want to live with that, or you just look behind you. The back of the car is not that far from here, so. Daily driving this, I've had a good time getting on it. I've also had a good time. And again, with the aftermarket support, we have a whole nother generation, quote unquote, of Zs that we can turn into drift cars in 10 to 15 years. So I'm really happy. And on that note, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!